Brian Norton, I'm going to turn it over to you with Easterseals INDATA team to talk about the Assistive Technology Act.
Excellent. Hey, thank you, Dustin. I'll just echo what Dustin mentioned. We've been working with Dustin for a while and just really enjoy what he's doing there through Disability Cocoon and what he's putting together there. And I'm really super excited to kind of partner with him, not only for the Tech Fest this past April, but also to be able to come on and share just a little bit of information about the Assistive Technology Act. As Dustin mentioned, I'm the Director of Assistive Technology at Easterseals Crossroads, which is in Indianapolis, Indiana. But we also are INDATA, which is Indiana's Assistive Technology Act. And so today, as we kind of go through our presentation, I just kind of put a lineup of different things that we want to be able to talk about today. The first thing is I always want to start with the basics. I think starting with the basics, I know folks who are on this type of a webinar probably already know about assistive technology, probably get their hands on it and deal with it day in and day out. But I want to just take a moment to kind of define it. And then we'll move on to talk a little bit about the Assistive Technology Act, what its purpose is and the activities that it does day in and day out. And then we will also discuss the INDATA project and tell you kind of like what it looks like here in Indiana, because it does look differently from state to state. States have flexibility on some flexibility on how they implement the AT Act. And so we'll talk about the INDATA project, what it specifically looks like here in Indiana. But then I also want to share some resources where you can kind of learn more about the Assistive Technology Act, and then how you can find your local Assistive Technology Act program. And so those are the kinds of things that we want to get into today. And so without further ado, we're going to jump in. And the first part is to just kind of take a look at assistive technology and talk a little bit about what it is. I'm sure folks on the call today, on the webinar today, probably know this stuff, but it's a generic term for devices and modifications that help people overcome or remove barriers created by their disability. Or it's any device or system that allows a person with a disability to perform a task they would otherwise be unable to do. And again, I think when we think about technology, it can cover a lot of ground. There's a lot to that. There are variations of assistive technology when you think about it. I think oftentimes folks think of really sophisticated types of equipment, and it can be really anything. And then really, it's not just always a device. It could be simply just a different way of doing things. And I think the processes and those things that we do to be able to change a job or to be able to rework a way a person does a certain task often get overlooked and get replaced by a device when you think about assistive technology. And so it also covers those things that are basically systems of doing things as well. So a little bit about why assistive technology. I don't know about you, but I woke up this morning and I use all sorts of technology in my life. My alarm clock helps me get up in the morning. My coffee maker, I just need that to be able to operate during the day. Need that caffeine. I have a smartphone. I use computers. And for me, it kind of just makes my life a little bit easier. It helps me be productive. It keeps me in contact and communication with other folks. But for persons with disabilities, technology really makes things possible and can make things possible if applied and put in place in a way that makes sense for them, and really ultimately opens doors of opportunities for them to be more independent in their daily lives. And here's all of the goals of AT as well. Those things up top, obviously increase efficiency or effectiveness. We want people to be as productive as possible. Decrease the degenerative nature of a disability. We don't want folks staring at a screen with very small print if they have low vision, because that's just going to put strain and stress on their eyes and may lead to a further drop in vision. Allow persons to stay or return to the workplace. We want folks to be able to get back to doing what they always did. Oftentimes technology, different types of things can be able to help them get back to work. Support or replace lost or altered skills due to illness, disease, or accident. Obviously, that's there. Many times avoid injury. But here at Easterseals Crossroads and the INDATA project, I think at the crux of all of those things up top, it's all about being independent, helping people be as independent as they can, no matter where they find themselves. And that can be at work, that could be at school, that could be at home, that could be at play. All facets of life, we want people just be as independent as they can be, doing the things that they want to do. And so those are the goals. And I kind of touched on this just a second earlier, but again, all variations of assistive technology, high tech, mid tech, low tech. You know, there are sophisticated software programs that allow you to do lots of very cool things. Some may be expensive. If you look at the Braille display at the top right, that's a very expensive item. A lot less expensive than it's been since I got into the field, but still expensive anyways. But then you also have low tech, you know, large print, task lists. But even no tech, you know, I would argue that if you put a block of wood underneath the desk so that a person in a wheelchair can raise the desk up 4 inches, that block of wood is assistive technology. And again, in all of that, I think it is really important to think about the most important thing, and that's the person that we're working with, and recognizing that it goes beyond just a device. It goes beyond um, just maybe even a process, and ultimately it just affects that person and how we're helping them be as independent as they can be, wherever they might find themselves. And so that's just a little bit about assistive technology. Uh, so I want to spend some time talking about the Assistive Technology Act, and what it is and what's its purpose. How does it look? Are there the consistency with that you'll find from state to state and the services and activities that they provide? So the Technology Related Assistance Act of 1998, as amended in 2004, is the Assistive Technology Act. And essentially what that did for folks, is it passed, the legislation that was passed is there to help increase awareness of, access to, and acquisition of assistive technology. That was its purpose back in 1998. It was reauthorized in 2004. And what that did is really the act established that throughout all 56 states and territories across the United States, there is a place where folks can go to learn about assistive technology, to get their hands on assistive technology, and to acquire assistive technology if that's something they want to do. And so in all 56 states and territories, you'll find an organization like INDATA, who is there to um, help folks kind of navigate the world of assistive technology and find the tools and the things that'll be helpful for them, to be able to be productive in the area of life that they find themselves. I want to talk a little bit about 2004 because that was really an important time in the AT Act. And the AT Act in 2004, when they reauthorized the AT Act, they uh, really decided they brought some consistency across states. I think before then there was some flexibility, and people were able to kind of implement the AT Act in different ways, and it does still look a little bit different from state to state. There's some flexibility there. However, in 2004 they established 4 key areas that folks need to focus on, and that all 4 of these areas are core services related to the Assistive Technology Act. Um, and so we'll talk a little bit about those. Those are, and I'll just say those now, and we'll get into them here in a little bit later. But all AT Acts provide device demonstrations, device loans. They all do device reutilization. So they take in old equipment, fix it up, and they give it away to folks. And then they all do some form of alternative financing. And so helping people purchase their own assistive technology. And so we're going to dig into those a little bit later. 2 overarching priorities for the AT Act. You can boil it down, and this is me talking here, you can boil it down into 2 really important things. And the first is spreading the word. So that's outreach and education. And the second thing is getting people's hands on assistive technology. And I think if you dig into the AT Act, you'll hear about things like state level activities and state leadership activities. That's spelled out in the law and what those things are. State level activities are those 4 core services. Every AT Act provides some form of that in their state. So AT demonstration, device loan, AT reutilization, state financing. And so those are the state level activities. State leadership activities are all those things that fall under the spreading the word bucket of activities that ATX provide, and that's trainings, technical assistance for folks who are interested in building in accessibility into their systems, information and referral, those types of things. And so I think one of the things I just kind of want to bring up, this is kind of the assistive technology services flow chart. When you think about ATX and where people start and how they kind of navigate through the process, really, I think ultimately your state assistive technology program, it's all about information and assistance. You know, if you have a question about accommodation, give your state ATX a call, and they are going to try to help connect you, or put you through the system that you see in front of you here, to be able to help connect you and get you in touch with those devices or people who can be helpful. And so information and assistance is a big piece. So you can contact your assistive technology program for more information on AT devices, usage, accommodations, and again, they're going to connect you with folks. The next step is down below. That's device demonstration. So what happens with this is once you call and you say, hey, I'd like to know more about this, there is someone on staff who can come out and demonstrate assistive technology to you. And so when I say demonstration, it's important to kind of recognize it's not necessarily an evaluation where recommendations are going to be made. They will come out and they'll do a demonstration where they're going to show you the bells and whistles of different types of devices. So if you're looking for a video magnifier, they're going to bring out a variety of video magnifiers and show you different options that are available on some different devices. When they're done, and also think about this. This is a great way to kind of great analogy for it. Think about when you go check out, when you go to the dealership, the car dealership, and you want to test drive a car. It's a little bit of the same thing. It's a 20 or 30-minute hands-on demonstration of what that technology can do. And then once you're done being demonstrated the technology, you jump up to the device loan, where that person who brought that device out to you say, well, if you're interested in these items, why don't I just leave it with you? Let you borrow it. Much like going to the library to check out a book, you can check out assistive technology and keep it for a few weeks to be able to try it out, see if it's really going to work for you, wherever you might find yourself. Really give you kind of that hands-on experience with it to make an informed decision. Is it going to work? And so here at the INDATA project, we'll talk about that here in a second, but it's a 30-day loan. You can borrow it for 30 days, try it out, see if it works for you, and then just send it back if it doesn't. If it does work for you, there's two options. Then you flow into reutilization. So all ATX, to varying degrees and different types of technologies they'll take in, but they're reuse programs. And so they take in donated assistive technology, things that are used, aren't being used anymore for whatever reason. They fix them up, and then they give those away for little or no cost. And so that could be a computer system with an adaptive software program on it. It could be a wheelchair, a powered wheelchair with some different options on it. From state to state, you'll see variations on what's available through through their reuse programs. So there's an option there to be able to get your hands on it. So once through the device loan program, you've tried it, you think it's going to work for you, there might be a similar device in the reuse program that we can just give to you. Or if it's not in the reuse program, there's the state financing program. And in the state financing program, there are options. And so you can borrow basically their extended term, low interest extended term bank loans for persons to be able to purchase their own assistive technology. And so here in Indiana, we let folks borrow anywhere from $500 to $35,000 so that they can purchase an iPad with an app, or they can do a remodel in their kitchen or add a lift to their vehicle. All sorts of things that you can do with that. And they're extended term low interest because we know if you put something on a credit card, they're going to run you anywhere from 19 to 20% interest these days. And those devices can sometimes be expensive. And it's difficult for folks to pay back in a reasonable amount of time. And so here in Indiana, you know, our loans run around 3 or 4%, and they're extended out over a longer period of time, making those payments more affordable for folks. And so you can kind of just see how folks might flow through the services that the AT Act provides. So they call with a need, they can get a demo, we can go out and actually then loan it to them for a period of time to make sure it really works. And then either through reuse or state financing, there's options to be able to get your hands on that technology. Brought up this slide. This kind of tells you kind of the impact across all assistive technology programs. So all 56 programs. So last year, almost 72,559 individuals participated in 38,709 device demonstrations. So lots of folks took advantage of the demonstrations. It looks like I flipped demonstrations and loans there, but device loans. There were 32,353 device loans that were made to individuals or agencies, with almost 50,000 devices being borrowed. And then for state financing, almost 59,000 recipients acquired about 70,000 reutilized devices, for savings to Medicaid and other programs of about $28 million. And then in the reuse, man, I flipped all those things on the left. My bad, guys. And then for the financing, there are 908 borrowers that obtained financial loans totaling about almost $8 million to be able to purchase 933 devices on their own in 2008 and FY18. And so you can see there's a big impact. So collectively across the United States, all 56 programs, there's a whole lot there. And so quite a big impact for really helping people get their hands on technology and to learn more about it. So want to talk just a little bit about the INDATA project, because this is kind of what we do here, and it'll reiterate some of the things that you've heard. And this is kind of what it looks like in Indiana. And again, it's going to look different. So here in Indiana, we're a standalone not-for-profit. We're an Easterseals affiliate. I believe in Iowa, there's an Easterseals affiliate that implements the ATAP. In other states, it's going to be located at a university. In other states, it's located through state agencies. And so it looks a little bit different from state to state on who's the implementing or lead agency on the ATAP. And so keep that in mind as well. But when we talk about here in Indiana, outreach and information, we do a lot of different things. We have a 1-800 number set up for information referral. And again, we just want folks to call us. If you have a need, doesn't matter what it is, give us a call. And we're going to either try to connect you internally to a service that the INDATA project offers, or send you externally to partner agencies and other folks that we know in the community that might be able to serve that need for you. We also do a lot of education. We do AT hours. AT hours are 1-hour talks with hands-on AT experiences. And so we essentially pack up a bunch of assistive technology. We go out and talk to small groups, support groups, other kinds of places to be able to kind of help people get their hands on and better understand what the AT is all about, but then also what assistive technology is all about. Full day trainings as well, 4 to 5 times a year. We provide full day trainings on a variety of different topics, but the centerpiece is assistive technology. So thinking about the upcoming year, we're doing one on innovative AT, where we're going to dig into virtual reality, the Internet of Things, adaptive gaming, and robotics. And so those are all in person. You can come here if you live in the state of Indiana. You can come in person to see the show. We feed you, but then we also stream those as well. For folks who do attend in person, we provide continuing education credits as well. So something to think about there. The other thing that we do a lot and makes us maybe a little bit more unique between other AT acts, we do a lot of podcasting and social media. There are some other projects that do an amazing job with this as well, but there's a handful of us that have really gotten into it. And so for us here at the INDATA project, we do 3 podcasts. 1 or 2 of them are weekly podcasts. That's AT Update and Accessibility Minute. And then ATFAQ is a bi-weekly podcast. And the AT Update podcast is kind of our flagship. It's been around for 8 years. And I think we're on episode 480. But we're talking to thought leaders, folks who are creating the technology and kind of pushing things forward for folks. That's a really popular podcast. Accessibility Minute's a 1-minute news and information show about what's happening in the world of assistive technology each week. And then ATFAQ is just a place for folks to call in if they've got AT questions. We sit around as a team and we try to handle those. And it's kind of a question and answer show. But then also very involved with blogging, YouTubing, Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. So
yeah, and I just wanted to jump in there real quick. The podcasts that he's talking about are very, very good. I listen to them on a weekly basis almost, so I would really recommend listening to those if you guys are ever driving. It's a perfect thing to listen to. And the other reason I jumped in here, Brian, is we actually had a question come in.
sure.
We have some folks that are obviously outside of Indiana,
Mm-hmm.
and they were asking about what are kind of some of the best practices for going out and showcasing the different devices in the homes. How do you guys do that, I guess? Maybe elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, so yeah, that's next slide. This is their demos and lending library. So we have a person on staff who there are throughout the ATX. There's a couple of different places. There's ATAP, and then there's a place called the AT3 Center. And we've put together some core competencies for the folks who are in our lending libraries, so that as they go out and they demonstrate different products, these are the things they need to be knowledgeable about. For us, the way that looks is we'll go anywhere in the state of Indiana to your door. You can come to us, but we'd much rather probably come to you to be able to understand what your environment's like, so that as we bring out devices, we can pick devices that kind of match up with the environment you find yourself in. And then again, we're trained on the technology, right? So just being able to show you it's kind of, I always call it the David Letterman top 10 list. Here's the top 10 things you need to know about this particular device. And then, we give it to you, and then you can trial it out. And we'll leave you with the whole entire package, the user manuals if need be. And again, it's going to look different depending on the device, right? So if you're talking about an augmentative communication device, those are a lot more complex and complicated. And so we may or may not directly lend that to an individual. We might lend that through a speech pathologist, or a professional. And I think that's important to know. You don't have to be a person with a disability. You can be a professional, a service provider, you could be a family member, or you could just be anybody who's interested in assistive technology, who has an interest in learning more about a particular device. It doesn't have to be simply a person with a disability. It can be anybody, really.
So Brian, the kind of the second part to that question is, it looks like one of the core competencies, or one of the core things that every ATAC program has to do, is this device demo and loan program, right? So every ATAC program should be able to go out and do these demos and loan programs, right?
Right.
Okay. So for those of you that are that were asking that question, if your if they're not seeing their ATAC program do that, how do you suggest that they engage, or what? Just reach out to those folks, or?
Yeah, I'll share here in a minute just where you can find your local ATAC. Reach out to them. It does look different from state to state. And so here in Indiana, we have a centralized library. So all of our equipment is here in Indianapolis. And then we go out from here to people's homes. In other states, they work through a network of places, through independent living centers and other kinds of things, and they've brought equipment out. They decentralize their library and give equipment to independent living centers and other kinds of places. Again, geography can be challenging. So in some states, they're very rural states, and so if you can have equipment located closer to somebody, it would be that's when they start to think about decentralizing the library and being able to put it out there where people can get better access to it. And so, but yeah, contacting your local ATAC, talking to them about that, and figuring out to what degree they provide that. But it is a core service that ATACs provide.
Thank you.
Yep. The depot, so I'll just mention the Indiana Depot, the INDATA Depot here is our computer and assistive technology reutilization program, where we take in donated equipment. We do a lot of computer recycling, actually. We gave away about 260 computers this year with Windows 10 and a Microsoft Office on them. So we are a certified Microsoft refurbisher. in addition to all of the other AT specific equipment that we put out there. And mostly what we do are video magnifiers and other computer related types of equipment. Some states provide realization of durable medical equipment. And so think about powered or manual wheelchairs and other kinds of things. We don't do that here in Indiana, but other states do provide that. And so that's going to look a little bit differently. But again, for us, it's all you have to do to qualify for the program is be a resident of Indiana, document a document of disability, provide that to us, and then that's really it for you to be able to be a part of that. Alternative financing, we talked a little bit about that. It's real simple and easy to be able to apply. It is a bank loan, and we don't want to set people up for failure. And so we do have a vetting process where we have an advisory council of individuals who have disabilities and are in the financial field who are examining the different applications that come in because we don't want to further injure anybody's credit if that's going to be hard for them to repay. But it is a really good program and offers the ability for folks to be able to pay for all sorts of different types of accommodations. So here with the remaining, I'm going to talk about two resources. ATAP is our national membership organization. And so they are the ones that represent us in Washington. And then the AT3 Center is kind of the one-stop connection to information about the Assistive Technology Act, state assistive technology programs, and just general assistive technology. So the AT3 Center is the one that helps develop those core competencies and really work with the AT programs about how they implement, what they're doing, and really kind of help us with technical assistance and the things that we just need information on and to be able to stay up to date with them. So if you're looking to learn more about the ATX, you can go to one of those places. If you just type that into your web browser, into Google, it's going to take you right there. But ATAP and AT3 Center are really our national membership organization, and then really our technical assistance that we receive as an ATAC program. And if you're looking to find your program, to make it easy for folks, Eastersealstech.com, that's the INDATA Project's website, /states is going to bring you up to a page. It's actually going to redirect you to AT3's site. And then from there, you can actually plug in your state, and it's going to bring up the folks the agency that's implementing it, and then the folks who are within that program overseeing those services that we've talked about as well. So, but Eastersealstech.com /states will help you find your program. Are there other questions?
We are not seeing any yet, and I did share those links to AT3 and ATAP. So
cool. I think if I can just leave folks with one thing, it's really, I mean, if you have an accommodation, if you're trying to figure something out, if you need an accommodation, it really doesn't matter where you are. The resources that are at the AT Act can help. So the first thing is that information and referral. And so we want to be able to have folks call us, and then we can help connect you with other folks or send you somewhere within the program to be able to receive some sort of assistance with what you're trying to do. And then remember that the core services that I think all ATX provide at some level are device loan, device demonstration, device reutilization, and then the alternative financing as well. So helping people pay for their assistive technology. But those are the core services. And again, if you go to the AT3 Center, you'll learn, they have the actual law that you can download and read through. I mean, there's quite a bit to it. But it's really, I can't even say, it's such a great resource. Unfortunately, I don't think enough people know about it. And so we're always trying to find ways to spread the word, but it's a great resource for folks.
Great. Well, thank you, Brian. That was a great over. I learned something new every. I know what you guys do pretty well, but I learn something new every time I hear you talk about it. So thank you.
No problem.
One last question from me is, you talked about the financing options, the loan programs that are available through all of the ATAP programs. Do you guys most of the ATAP programs have kind of a bank of other resources available for funding options? So if the loan isn't the right option for someone, I'm assuming you can refer them out to other financing options.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, there are all the different state options as far as, Medicaid or VR, vocational rehabilitation. We refer out to those folks a lot. There are, I can't remember there for like hearing aids is a big thing that we get a lot. Care credit, I think is what it's called. But it's resources. So we do know of a few places that we can send folks if, for instance, they don't qualify for the bank loan. We can send them out to potentially some other funding sources to be able to purchase that technology for them.
Great.
Yep.
Wonderful. All right. Well, if there are any other questions, get them in there right now, real quickly. Brian, thank you. I always tell everybody when Disability Cocoon grows up one day, we hope to be like an ATAC program. You guys do some amazing things. So
cool. No, I'm excited and yeah, really excited to know you and see what you guys are doing up there.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining today. And Brian, thanks again. For those of you that are on and want to see previous tech huddles, please feel free to go to disabilitycocoon.com. We record all of these. They're all put into the on-demand Tech Fest. So just go to disabilitycocoon.com, click on the on-demand Tech Fest section, and you can get access to all these recorded tech huddles. So thank you, everyone. Thanks, Brian.
Yep, no problem.
We'll talk to you all soon.
Yep, have a good one.
Thanks, you too. Bye.
Bye-bye.